the earned commission accounting, or the earnings section of our website, which can be reached either by clicking this link here or from the dashboard, clicking on the total net earnings link, brings you to this full listing of every credit and debit to what we call your commission earned account. Now, you can use this to pull a search. By default, when you come to the page, it shows you every debit and credit to your overall account since you began working with Top of the Mountain. You can also search between any two given dates to see all the earnings that you have for that period. So you could see quarterly, you could see what you did during the winter season, you could see what you did for a summer, or you could see what you did for a year, 2 years, etc., etc. Now, this tool isn't what I would use for doing year-end reporting for your accountant. That's likely to be done over here. Take a look at the help video over there to see why and why I suggest that. But suffice to say, this is a great tool for a quick eyeballing of what your commissions are for a given period, but not necessarily, again, what you'd use for doing your annual accounting. Let's see it in action, and let's explain a little bit about how it works. Well, first, I'll give you a little bit of how it works. First of all, the day you start your work with Top of the Mountain, your earned account, which is the amount of money, your net earnings, is at 0. Each time a booking takes place in which you are paid or retained 60% or 66% or whatever the commission percentage that is based on the sales circumstance, and the person is checked in, your earned account is credited with the money that you, of course, expected for that booking. If at any time there's a reason we have to back that out, then there might be a debit on here. I'll give you an example. I'll look down the page here. And in April, there was a fella here who had credited our account $218.60 from a check-in on April 7th. But on April 9th, we reversed that and debited $218, so that between these two transactions, the account balance is 0. But then, if you'll notice, James DeLu is now responsible for an increase of to $317.59. You may see these when a couple of things happen. For instance, in this case, what happened is the guest said, I want to stay one more day. And so what we did in this case is we rolled his check-in back to a state where it's not checked out, and that causes a reversing transaction so that the account balance stays at 0. Then we increased the amount of money that on his booking because he wanted to stay one more night. Then we put him back into a checked-in state and took payment, and that's why these three transactions occur like that. There are other cases in which this might happen, and it might go the other way. For instance, what if there was a failure of some major appliance at your condo at the time a guest was staying, and in order to compensate the guests, we had to refund them a bit of the money. Let's say they got a $100 refund because the hot tub didn't work over a 3-night stay. So all of a sudden we have to reverse this down, and you'll see these transactions here because, again, you have an ongoing earned commission account that each month when someone checks in, the account is credited. There are cases when it could be debited, but overall the march of this number should be growing ad infinitum for as long as you stay with us, for as long as we continue booking. And if you'll remember or have looked at the payments section, you'll discover that the difference between the earned account and the payments account for any given month is the amount that we have to pay you for the bookings of the previous month. So, and in fact, I'll just do that real quickly. I'll show you that from the payments page. If we look back on the April stay, May represents an April stay for these guests, and we click here, we get that set of transaction records which represented the period from April 1st to May 1st in which this booking was backed out and then forwarded with more money. So again, you can do, and this gives you an idea that the total balance for the period was $317.59. That's how much was earned in that period. So let's say, and let's clear these for a second. I'll go back to earnings. Let's say I want to know what happened for looking back historically for the entire year of from one winter to the next winter effectively. So let's say December the 19th was our first ever record. What if I go December 2010, December 1st, 2009, and calculate, oh no, sorry, 2010. So just before this, and I calculate all the way around to November 30th. You can type in here, of course, that might be a more convenient way of doing things. And if you don't use a timestamp, then it takes midnight of both those dates and hit and say, okay, so what was my earnings for that year? So that year I earned 74.66.52. I can then say, oh, that's nice to know. So you can start, again, the purpose of this tool is to give you quick ballpark figures. So you say, well, what did I earn for the summer of that year? Let's say starting from, well, I can see in this case that's not hard to guess. It wasn't a lot. Let's look at the next year. Quick way to jump ahead. Let's do year to year. So the next one. And there were no transactions for that period. Very curious. Oh, that's right, because I have to do that. It's a reverse. Make sure you get your dates right. You get conflicting and confusing results. Obviously, we saw an increased sales the next year. That's a good thing. We want to see those types of things. How about we just want to do an annual from a January to a January? How about Jan? Notice we use a three-letter month plus a number for the date and then the year. 2012 to December 31st, 2012, and get our transactions, 12,600. Again, here's the purpose of this tool. It's for doing quick searches to get ballpark figures for sales and commission earnings between two periods of time. It isn't necessarily for reporting, but as an owner, you might like to look at what you just did for the winter, what you just did for a 2-month period, 1 year over the next, all again to increase your understanding of your business and the earnings that you're getting with Top of the Mountain Accommodations. So if you want to learn how to do annualized income estimates for your accounting purposes, again, go take a look at search and take a look at the payment section to understand how we convert these earned commissions into actual payments to you.